First week of playoffs. This is the semifinals for Tier 5 of Season 7 of Annihilation. I am Pillow, and I am joined today by Alex. Say hello, Alex.
Howdy, howdy, everyone.
But yeah, we'll be getting started shortly. First map will be Lijiang Tower for Fable Galaxia versus Fable Supernova. Any thoughts on that initially, Alex?
Well, two teams, same org, so hopefully these two teams know each other. So I think it's gonna be quite an interesting game.
Torbhammer 1vs1 for first team fight.
Right, 100%. But yeah, we will be back in just a short moment. Okay.
Nice.
I may have fucked up your name, by the way. You were Pancake for about 4 seconds.
What do you mean?
I forgot to change the name in the settings.
That's alright, I'm whoever
so,
you need me to be.
Thanks,
No
Pancake.
Uh,
Honestly, the most work Pancake's done in a minute.
I don't know how to make pancake noises, but there you go.
Flop.
Fuck, I ruined this one pancake! I ruined the first pancake, I gotta change. Throw it away. Honestly, if you ruin your first pancake, you're a noob. Just gonna say that.
Alright. We in.
We are in.
Alright, I'm gonna put us in. And actually, just gonna give it a second for the waiting players to be done. Okay. I'm putting us in. 3, 2, 1. Alright, welcome back everybody. We've got a fun game for you. Again, starting on Lijiang. We started off with some bands. Galaxia going with the Malga band versus the Cat band from Fable Supernova. What are your thoughts on these initially, Alex?
Initially, Lijiang Tower, you have two maps, really good for Jetpack Cat, still has not been nerfed. Cry. But with the JP ban by, I think, Supernova, at least, not going to be seeing that. And then the Malga, I think Malga might be outside your comfort zone, or you just might not want to deal with the opposite ends as it sets now.
Right, 100%. Notably, banning the Malga, and I believe we see them on the Reinhardt here, definitely going to be a notable thing here. We're looking for possibly just some sort of brawl mirror, but regardless, we are getting started.
Yeah, absolutely. TP and a pin onto the ball. Creep going down super low here. However, a nice boop does take the Wu Yang out. That's going to limit the Reinhardt and his sustain. Reinhardt really reliant on his support heroes here. Right now, a lot of people lining up for that boop. Boop off the edge. Tier TPs, however, two go down. The Reinhardt charges in, trying to find anything. Does not find anything, and that is the fight for Supernova.
Right, really solid start there from the side of Supernova. Really clean play. Yeah, just super clean. Making a lot of good use of Shadow, especially getting a lot of boops there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with a nether pick going on the way, Zero does get Zay, so that's going to be without a Wu Yang once more. On the side. Let's see how Frostburn executes this. Down a player and down another player as Skull Sniper gets found out here by Creep Ball, causing a bit headache for this Reinhardt composition. Originally wanted to do a Sim TP strat, did not get that. However, eventually Creep does go down. Reinhardt on the opposite side does find back to their spawn.
Right, super clean play there. Again, we saw the ball just disrupting, but a lot of that damage came in from Elite Zero. Frostburn having to try and make a play there, not able to get any help on their actual movements.
Yeah, and we see a composition that deals with this ball a little better. You have the Mizuki Kiriko with the Sigma here, really trying to deal with this ball that's been such a menace for them here. And talking about being a menace, kunai to the head, Skull Sniper. Gotta reconsider that name change as the Kiriko does get it. Here comes the consuming rush from both sides. Creep off the edge, Shadow going down. Elite Zero finding Zay here, and the point has finally flipped over.
Right, we see that comp paying off really well. Going to be able to do a lot of poke. Interestingly, I believe they had Water Lily on the Mizuki before, so I may have just been something to keep the Kiriko ult charge.
Yeah, maybe. But I want to talk about the support ult, the DPS ult right now. Frostburn coming up with the Carnage, I believe it's Ramp the Carnage of the Suki. High Noon does find out Skull Sniper here, and Mines popped out. Frostburn going deep in it, trying to find anything, does not. That's shut down immediately, leaving a Sigma on the point. Kiriko with Jay also trying to find another pick. Does get it onto it. So right now, Beat Late comes out, gets 2 only on the side. Creep going down low here. Eventually does get out. That's going to be a regroup here and a restabilization.
Right, and now you're in a really kind of an awkward spot here, right? You wanted to get the point there, you used the beat, you used the High Noon, and now you got nothing to show for it. That's really bad for you. You do still have the spree from Elite Zero, but that's pretty much your only big thing here. We see the overclock pops.
Yeah, overclock pops. Skull Sniper reclaiming that name does find the Lucio on the opposite side here. However, that's all they're going to find. Evening up the score here. Scratch that, Skull Sniper finds one more, but does even up the score right now, 70% to 81.
Alright, we gotta make a move here if we're the side of Supernova, or Galaxia, excuse me. Need to find something quick.
Yeah, this composition working quite well for Supernova. Galaxia kind of coming about flat-footed. Talking about that, though. Grab, good. Skull Sniper finds another one. Elite Zero probably is not going to be able to pop their ult in this round if this fight goes on long enough. Right now, Supernova looking for some clean kills. Frostburn does find Shadow here. Ball slamming. It's going to be their last hope for touches here, hoping that they can get anything else. The Kiriko is back onto the point. Here comes the Elite Zero with their ult, trying to find anything. Does find Skull Sniper. Jay also found in a lot of damage. The DPS is back for Galaxia. Here, the Consuming Rush out, cast. However, no one is fighting on it. They're looking for Frostburn, who gets 2 here. Frostburn gonna pop it all, trying to get this out. The Consuming Rush is also here. Ball back, so this fight's gonna go for a little bit longer here. Quite well. Waterly gets the opposite end, Kiriko, and Ball going down. It looks like Supernova coming up with the answer to that ball comp is gonna take this first point.
Right, really solid play there. We saw a lot of interesting stuff with the Mizuki and the Sigma swaps. They instantly just kind of bunkered down on that point and just said, you can have everything else. We're just going to let you take Dojo. We're going to let you take Mini. And we're just going to sit in here, right? Because this is the only part of the map that matters at the end of the day. And you're not going to be able to touch it, right? You're on a ball comp. You're not able to really move into that enclosed space very well. And we just saw them play to that win condition really solidly there. So very good job adapting to that from Supernova. Gotta see what Galaxia does to try and change things up here.
Yeah, right now Galaxia, you know, they better record overall in the season. Right now, Supernova showing the better of their sister team here. We do have this fight over here in server room. The Lucio of Shadow going down quite low. Gonna be +1ing Elite Zero, who does get the better of Frostburn. Eventually fights them off here. We have a Sigma with a versus a Zarya tank lineup here, looking for those engages. Truth eventually finding Skull Sniper with a beautiful headshot here. Creep burning down the Sigma on Supernova here, and eventually it's going to be a clean fight win as the Mizuki is going to be last to fall. No one quite touching the point. The Galaxia, like first round, are going to start with point capture.
Right, this is a good early start for them. I like the adaptation of the Zarya, just able to fight a little bit more, brawl a little bit better. especially on this control center point where it's a lot more enclosed.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this control center being a lot more controls and Elite Zero getting Zay, that's going to slow down this composition that we do see a move over by Supernova going back onto that Reinhardt comp.
Right, again, this makes a lot of sense. Ryan pretty good into Zarya, able to shield a lot of the damage and just swinging on them, dealing so much. Creeping through those bubbles like they're made of paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, it's going to be on Creep to get that bubble management. Trying to shut down these flankers right now. A pin goes in, however, not a lot of damage going in. Reinhardt needs some help on the side of Supernova, and high ground has been taken. Frostburn does find Creep. Bubbles not there. Sustain not there. And it looks like Supernova has got their foot into this door with the point flip here, looking for any other kills they can get. Looking for that Cassidy maybe. And Frostburn does get truth at the end of that.
Right, and now we gotta take a look at the ults coming up, right? We've got the Graviton Surge coming up right now, and that's really scary with the Xion Spree. So that's something you gotta be concerned about for sure.
Yeah, but on the opposite side, we have the Shatter, the Kasune grab, good for 2. Reinhardt jumps in to try to block as much damage as possible. Water Lily does go down. Reinhardt does get his one by going off the map with it. But using only one ultimate there for one ultimate, you wanted to try to take a little more there. As we see the last stagger kills coming in. Not exactly what you're looking for, Supernova. Exactly what you're looking for if you're a Galaxia fan.
Alright, 100%. Also important to note, this match was a 3-0 last time these two teams played. It was a 3-0 in the favor of Galaxia, so it's interesting to see how we're getting these adaptations here.
Yeah, it's going to be a big ult fight, though. Looking at the DPS, and you see this angle already taken by Elite Zero with the Lucio here. Probably going to see a Spree, a beat out, Spree also out. Finds Zay here on the side of Galaxia here. Lucio caught, beat, and I'm pretty sure it did not come out there. Picks going both sides. Right now we have a duel on it. Shadow eventually does get Water Lily here. Ryan gonna have to pin out right now, 90%. Someone has to be the touch. The Shatter goes deep, does not get anything. Shadow eventually does find the Reinhardt on the side of Supernova. Touch just barely. It's the Sojourn who has to come in. Sliding OC does not getting it. Truth gonna pop this high noon just to finish it off. Creep getting 2 here. And that's all she wrote on Control Center as we go back and forth here.
Right, a really solid response. We saw them try to counterplay with the Rhine comp, but they were just a little disorganized, right? The Xion, specifically, the Xion Lucio flanks were coming out so often from the side of Elite Zero and Shadow that they were kind of just pincered constantly. There's so many like quick flanks you can do on that map, especially with those side routes in server room, so you just have to be really careful, and they were just taking a little bit too long there.
Yeah, it's not like your tank can help you there. You know, the Reinhardt just really just has the shield, swings hammer, can't help you check those angles. So that would be up to your flex DPS. And we've seeing this composition swap up. What do you think of this so far?
I think the most interesting thing here, we see the Bastion swap from Truth gonna be able to shred a lot better, but we importantly see the swap from the Ramatra, which is gonna be able to tank that a lot easier than a Reinhardt could.
Yeah, right now, Galaxia setting up the back of this point here on Night Market. Supernova looking for their way in here. The Ramatra sitting there with a poke face, but here comes the pincer over by Galaxia. Falls a bit short as both Elite and Shadow do go down. Galaxia does get it here, but this is Supernova's to lose. They just gotta manage this point. A beautiful boop does get Creep. However, pretty sure with the knockback via own bubble does not give them the count here. Rest of Galaxia getting cleaned up here. Just the Lucio of Shadow looking to get out.
Right, really solid adaptation. They focused on that flank. They knew it was coming, and they just played to punish. They played that second, they played it slow, saved their resources, and just exploded Elite Zero and Shadow on the flank. Really solid job there.
Yeah, you were talking about that, and that's exactly what you want to see on that. You see Frostburn, however, taking Truth out. Eventually is traded, but a front load of damage has been removed for Galaxia here. Zarya looking to get her way in there. This Lucio, however, it gets booped by Zay here. Shadow going down. The Kitsune Rush was popped, however, with the majority of their players down. You're really hoping for Supernova to save that.
Alright, and we see another swap here from Truth over to the Reaper. I think this makes a little more sense into the Ramatra comp. Just able to play those short-range angles a little bit better, raise a bit better of an escape tool than Bastion Grenade.
Yeah, absolutely. With the Bastion, that being said, you know, wanting that Lucio to speed you around, kind of big thing. We have Annihilation popped out. Here comes the Kitsune Rush on the opposite side for Supernova. Creep does find Zay. The Rampage is out. Frostburn looking for their counterpart in Elite Zero. However, the Ramatra and the Sojourn on the side of Supernova going down. So a big alt fight, two alt dump here for Supernova. Comes out a bit flat-footed.
Right, this is exactly what you want to see. The swaps paying dividends, and also just a bit of overplay from the side of Galaxia, really getting eager into that.
Yeah, but we have a huge grab, capturing 3. The Reaper trying to do anything, but chewing through the beat health will not be an easy ask here. Right now, both teams kind of stabilizing health bars, looking in favor of Galaxia. I say that as Zay goes down. They're missing a Lucio on the side of Supernova here. Still looking to push in. Skull Sniper finds the Kiriko, and the spree is out. Reaper, Death Blossom is blooming. Gets 3 here by Truth. Gonna clean up that fight, and a lot of ults used on the side of Galaxia.
Right, that was a really good Death Blossom. They got 3, but it may have just been a tad bit overkill, right? You already had used the spree, and it was doing enough damage where they were all pretty low. Could reasonably get that fight win without using it. And now you're in a bit of a rough spot.
Yeah, if we're gonna have to look at these ultimates, you know, gonna be looking at these Kirikos. Wild Lily at 88%. Zando 87. So it's gonna be who gets the Kitsune Rush first that could really pop this up. Creep finding Wild Lily. Skull Sniper also going down. This is tragic if you're Supernova here, as it's 87-84 on the score. But need to regroup fast here if they want another touch.
Right, 100%. It's gonna be close. I don't know if they can get it. Not with Frostburn going down, and that's gonna be the game.
Yeah, Galaxia taking it 2-1 here on Li Zhang. Pello, if you're Supernova, that wasn't a bad round. It was a very close game. What would you adapt in your playstyle for this?
I think the biggest thing there, we were playing pretty solidly, but we just kind of forced things that we didn't really need to. Playing that ball on that first point was a bit more difficult, but they swapped to the Zarya. They had a good response, and then we tried to force the Reinhardt, which wasn't quite working the way we needed it to. The Ramatra was a good response, but it was just a little late. And then we were just put into a too awkward of a position. But regardless, we'll see what adaptations we can come up with for them in the next match, right after this quick break. Oh my god, dude. It's so hard to come back into it.
We're going to Midtown now. It's Galaxia, right?
Galaxia.
Galaxia. Fuck these stupid ass things. Fuck my stupid ass life for not being able to read either.
Fuck my Chungus life, fuck my Chungus life.
Exactly. Yeah, I can do intro.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Alright, gonna bring you in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Annihilation, to the Big Apple. That's right, we're back with another map here in this series. Galaxia taking it 1-0 over their sister team in Supernova. Pello, let's break down the bans.
Right, 100%. Welcome back, everybody. So we got some interesting bans. We see the Zarya ban from Supernova. That makes a lot of sense. Having some issues, and it looks like with the Sigma comp they're trying to play, Zarya going to cause a bit of a problem, so that makes a lot of sense. Interestingly, we see the Mei ban from Galaxia. We haven't seen the Mei yet from the side of Supernova, but Mei pretty strong on this map. A lot of good spots to wall, pretty good poke. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially as it looks like they also want to run this Sigma comp. So, hope everyone's ready to lock in for Sigma v Sigma. Some shield dancing, some rock blocking. It's gonna be a good time.
Right, 100%.
Yeah, so right now, just an extended poke phase, seeing whose shield goes down first. It looks like both basically at the same time. This shield management right now is going to be the biggest thing to watch on these two Sigmas here. You know, blocks a lot of the other Sigma, what they can do, and talking about which, they're also take track of this Xion duel. The pincers, they want to come out for both teams, but Truth actually going to open up this kill feed with a headshot onto Skull Sniper. However, Frostburn is going to take down not one but two of the Xion and the Wu Yang on the opposite side. Right now, Galaxia down a few players. That's going to allow Supernova to start stepping forward here. 2 in the firehouse. Sigma on point. Looks like Creeper's going to go down. So it's just going to be the Kiriko and Truth posted up in this firehouse, trying to stand their ground, wait for the respawners to come back. Suzu out, and it's not going to be able to save themselves here as the Kiriko on side of Galaxia does go down. Ash is probably going to be the next to fall as the rest of the team of Supernova goes. I mean, Galaxia goes to set up, however, without Truth being just there. Getting another pick, though.
Alright, 100%. That was just a great mechanical play from the side of Frostburn. Winning that 2v1 against the Wing and the opposing Xion really opened up that map, able to take that angle.
Yeah, but talking about opening up this map, here comes the fluxes on both sides. One whiffs, one's good here. Crate eventually goes down with a double alley-oop there, getting shot down by Skull Sniper. Elite Zero following suit, thinking that's a great idea, dies here. Galaxia right now falling back, and a lot of progress is going to be allowed via winning that high ground for Supernova.
Right, we see the ult starting to come online here. Notably, it's going to be Bob versus the Spree from the side of Supernova. I think Bob going to be a little bit more useful here overall if they play it right. But they're going to have to find some way to either deal with that high ground first or get people off of it.
Ooh, but a beautiful shot coming in for Truth. Eventually does get Frostburn. Elite Zero also finding Water Lily. Creep getting the better of the Sigma counter there. Bob used super late here. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, 100%. That just kind of leaves the door open. They can kite that super free, and now they just have to wait and come back with their unmatched, or actually they do have a matched Spree, but now their overclock's going to be unmatched.
Yeah, the overclock going to be unmatched, but I want to look at these support ults. How are they going to be used? Here comes the Russian Current, trying to find something with the Spree, does not. However, Elite Zero finding a lot more on the Wu Yang, also on the side of Galaxia, finding a lot more value here. So ults, a lot dumped in for Galaxia. That's going to be your 3 ults there, plus the Bob in a later fight, and only, looks like only 1 on the side of Supernova, so they have an in.
Right, 100%. That was a great play from the side of Supernova. Just putting in that Wu Yang ult, seeing what they invest, and getting 3 ults out of it. that's pretty great for the ult economy here. Now you've got this rush that they can't deal with, this overclock they can't respond to. So many resources at your availability now.
Yeah, Kitsune, however, in this little left room here, not too easy to use, but Frostburn does find it. Water Lily actually coming alive here, finding two by themselves. And it's going to be a push, start pushing up. They're going to try to find creep here. Going down here probably will prevent Galaxia from getting another touch if they wanted to, and Iz moves up. Here comes the Flux, good for two. Gets Skull Sniper, gets the Sigma on the opposite side. Rock prevents Hands from really getting forward. He needs carry on the side of Supernova. The Sigma going down low, but it is better. It gets two, forces Shadow and forces Truth to really duck for cover here. Get the health backs up. Frostburn getting the better of Elite Zero here on the Xion duel. A quick OC peek does not get anything. Frostburn going with the Rampage does not find the Spree, does not find anything, so it's going to be a Sigma duel. Right now, not looking great for Galaxia. Very low on health bars. They're the only one pretty healthy here. Frostburn getting another pick. It is a 2v2 here. Battle for this point capture. This fight's going a while. It's two Xions versus a Kiriko and a Wu Yang. However, respawners are closer for Galaxia.
Right, you would have wanted to already win this fight with all of those ults you had unchecked, and now the ult economy has taken a turn for the worse.
Yeah, it takes a turn for the worst, and Elite Zero finding Frostburn at the end of that. You got a minute left here. You need one more regroup, and the ult economy not looking great for Galaxia here.
100%. Basically everything coming online for Galaxia in just a second, but really nothing other than the Wu angle and maybe a mid-fight rush if they can sustain.
But a beautiful pick onto said Wu Yang. Here comes the Kitsune rush and a rushing current. They're going to try to find anything here. The Spree is good, does find Water Lily. However, the Sigma does find the Kiriko here. A good Bob right now thrown on point. Elite Zero finding it, but immediately traded out for Frostburn. And that's going to be a fight win by Galaxia here. Supernova, 30 seconds left on Midtown.
Right, biggest thing here, we gotta get that rush from Water Lily. That's gonna be the #1 win condition here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. #1 win condition. Frostburn got to play their life here. Got to be the touch for Galaxia. For Supernova, my bad. Galaxia on defense here. However, you got the Sigma ult here. Here comes the Kitsune rush from Water Lily. It's good. Rock going wide. That Flux is going to be pulled out. Someone gets a touch as the Sigma's in the air. Beautiful Suzu coming out for Willie. Flux, good. Trying to get it on Truth. A lot of resources thrown into the Ash to keep him alive. Creep does find Skull Sniper here. Elite Zero finding the Spree on Frostburn. Eventually does get burned. It's a trickle right now, and Galaxia looks like they're going to hold a solid defense, preventing them from capturing point 2.
Right, what a miracle defense. They were struggling so much. They had such a great spot right there at the end of the second point because they were struggling up to that point. Their first point defense kind of just got defeated solely by Frostburn hitting that 2v1 play. And then they kind of wasted ults really hard towards the beginning of second point and also kited a little too far back, allowed them to get a good amount of card progress, not really playing that first corner whatsoever. So it was a solid start. It was a solid end, I should say. But they started a little bit rough, so they're going to have to put in a little bit of work here in order to get back to where this team got here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not an undoable spot, you know. I think the first 2 points here, really assaultable. Really not too defender favorite. It's that third point that I think is a bit more here. We do see a bit of a swap. We're going to see the Sojourn of Skull Sniper traded out for the Emery. What do you think of that?
I think it's interesting. A little bit more consistent damage. Definitely going to be able to not burst as strong, but they're going to be able to play a little bit more consistent. Maybe break down that shield a little bit easier and have some more along the way. Also, Override Protocol, super strong. Nice high ceilings on this map, so definitely going to be something that they can do here.
Yeah, we also see the Mizuki switch coming over here for the side of Supernova. See how they play this. Sig rocked, and you see already the Wu Yang of Shadow and Elite Zero trying to take this hallway. No one was quite checking them, so they're going to get a free angle here. That's going to pressure out this backline for Supernova here. That's going to force them to reposition around this map here. It's up to Frostburn to really check this angle, really get it, and we know they can do it. They opened it up last time. Needs a bit more support, however, if they want to do that. Zay going down to that pincer, like we were saying, really needs to put that in check. The Sig duel allows them to get into Firehouse, so it's going to be 4 there. Truth eventually finding Skull Sniper, and I think that's going to probably be it for their defense here of Supernova, especially as Elite Zero does find Frostburn here.
Right, they just kind of gave away those angles for free. That's the exact angle that Frostburn used to get this .1 for the side of Supernova, and now Galaxia said, okay, we'll just do the same thing. We'll run this angle one more time.
Yeah, they do it, finding the defense there lacking. However, Skull Sniper does find the Wu Yang, gonna come back a lot faster here. Also, finding Elite Zero, Frostburn finding Truth here, so there's gonna be no DPS sign on the side of Galaxia here. Galaxia.
Right, and we see them playing a lot further up. Supernova playing this right up on this corner, playing a lot farther up.
It makes sense. You want to waste this time. You want to get as many fights as you possibly can. And talking of which, here comes 2 Kitsune rushes. However, the Sigma left kind of alone. The Rock good, but the hands are better. The Flux out. Bob is also good. Finds Skull Sniper. There's going to be no DPS line on the side of Supernova. Sigma going to find 1, but immediately traded out by Elite Zero. So Galaxia on their way.
Right, a really solid job there. Notably, Bobby Itu getting a really solid grab onto Creep, but just pushing a little bit too far in and getting himself picked by Frostburn. Bit of an unfortunate decision there.
Yeah, absolutely. We have ults coming here. You know, the Emery really close to the override protocol. However, both sprees available. Zay with the Sanctuary could come up big here. Frostburn does get it. The Sanctuary out a bit early. Skull Sniper finding Truth here with a beautiful headshot. Cleanup kills looking to come. The rushing turn onto the Sigma. They think this might be turnable, or at least they can get some progress out here. Going onto the Emery, trying to find the kill, does not get it. Creep, health bar low. The Kiriko finds Zay off the better and might find Skull Splitter here. Kiriko might have a go crazy here. Get Water Lily going down, Skull Splitter going down. The spree is out for Shadow, for Frostburn, trying to turn this back around. Eventually it does go down. Elite Zero finding another kill, so out of the jaws of defeat, Galaxia pull this back. Zay's gonna look for the touch here. Water Lily finding a kill onto Elite Zero. That's probably going to be their in card here. It's just the Sigma and it's just Truth on it. The override protocol is out. Creep probably going to take him down as Frostburn finds the kill. The damage good enough here. Supernova stem the bleeding.
Right, really solid job there, but that fight was a little bit expensive, right? You burned your Shianol, you burned that Emery ult, the override protocol. Now you just gotta find something with this rush and try to do it before we build it to the Bob, to the Flux, to everything that you don't want to see from the enemy team.
Yeah, Zay going down early. Elite Zero finding the mark here. The Flux going on to the opposite side. Sigma. Here comes the spree, finding Water Lily here. Elite Zero also finding the Sigma of Galaxia here, and I think that's gonna be all she wrote on Midtown as the kills just keep going the way. Galaxia, take another map.
Right, again, that was a really solid map there. They just kind of wait until they had a massive ult advantage and then just popped all of it. They said, we don't need to necessarily win, but this will at least make it go away long enough that we win the map. So you have to fight into our 4 ults, and you have just 1 Curie Rush. You're not going to win that fight. So really solid job there from Galaxia on that last fight.
Yeah, absolutely really solid fight, but you can't give it to just Zan. That Kiriko pulled a great fight out, getting at least 3 people here. We'll see what they can do in the next map here.
Right. And we're off.
Dude, I don't know like why I have an alarm for like 5:45. Okay.
But if you wanna travel, then go alone. Yeah, what's the point in us if I never know? Yeah, if you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. I'm tired of the pain. Go away. I'm tired with
Distance keeping us way too far apart. Every time I get too close, I fall apart. You have changed for the better. You don't wanna stay sleeping in my head. Why you made up your side of the bed? I never said it was forever. No, you don't need me no more. So you keep on moving on. You'll be
Don't at me.
You know what? Based off of your pronunciation, I should assume you're not a fan of letters. That's my fault.
Fuck you, right? Fuck you.
Why am I rubber banding? Don't do this to me.
See, you weren't R.
Okay. I'm R.
Now you are.
I'm gonna bring us in. You ready?
Yep.
Alright, I'll bring us in. You do intros. 3, 2, 1.
Alright, welcome back, Annihilation Nation. We are here at New Queen Street right now. Galaxia up 2-0 against their sister org, Supernova. Pella, we got bans. What are we looking at here?
Right, 100%. Supernova with the initial ban. First off, choosing New Queen Street, and then choosing to ban the Kiriko from the side of Galaxia. Right, Zenode must have been putting in that work. We see the responding Sojourn ban from the side of Galaxia. I think this makes a lot of sense if they're playing the ball comp here. Right, gonna want to be able to get a bit more power in there, and just having that slide is gonna be a bit of annoyance.
Yeah, I could see that. However, you would think you'd ban the Mizuki here. Creep getting spotted out early here. A lot of damage going on to them, but we do have another side fight going here. Frostburn and does get Shadow here, but it's of course the Xions going crazy with each other, trying to fight each other, and talking about which Zay eventually does find Creep. Right now, the
a notable.
Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so right now, noticeable that we're going to see this Xion duel back and forth, but we're also going to look at Parabo right now. Soldier 76 can take these softer, a bit harder angles with this sprint with the health pack, but talking of which, Lead Zero finding the better of this fight here on to Frostburn, eventually does find it. Creep finding Water Lily, and Lead Zero again, Zay. But this is just gonna be basically a team deathmatch comp here. Gonna be multiple fights on multiple different angles right now. Favor of Supernova at 41 meters.
Right, 100%. This Soldier makes their Sojourn ban just a little bit more apparent, right? That's gonna be just a really difficult matchup for them. But with Sojourn banned, they're able to just go around the map a little bit more, get challenged a little bit less by somebody who just can kind of beat them, has better burst.
Yeah, Creep fighting Zay early in this fight. The contest does come out by Skull Sniper and the Hazard here on the side as Supernova eventually is found out. Sleep does come out but does not hit anything here. So right now, Galaxia kind of looking like they're running away with this multiple angle composition. This pressure from every side look like it's probably getting the better of Supernova.
Right, 100%. I think notably as well, swapping the Ana over to Bap, maybe just trying to get a little bit more preservation into this ball.
That could be the case here. Frostburn eventually does find the Soldier here. The Soldier. Frostburn also finding the Wu Yang. So that's an angle shut down. Elite Zero finding Water Lily here. Creep going down super low, but we do have the Ana Wu Yang on the side trying to take out Frostburn. Frostburn eventually getting the better there of the two supports on the side of Galaxia here. However, Elite Zero Parabel finding it. There's going to be no more supports here on the side of Galaxia. However, healthy on the alt banks here, and Elite Zero, Elite 4 does find a third pick here onto that fight. Gonna give their team a bit more edge into it. Forward response has been shut down for Galaxia. Supernova making sure that checkpoint got touched for the mid.
All right, 100%. Notably, we got a big ult bank for Galaxia here, and it's gotta make you uncomfortable if you're Supernova, right? They're pretty much hoarding everything. They have the nano, they have the bubble, they have Spree and Visor. What are you supposed to do with this?
Yeah, you see Parabol holding onto the statue right here on the right. Here comes the nano on to a Spreeing Elite 0, and it's Elite 4 getting the back line here of Supernova. Skull Sniper does get Elite Zin. Eventually, the Frostburn on the opposite side. Creep looking for some kills here. However, the Flash is good. Does not want to mess with two things that have hard CC against the ball here. So a fight win for Galaxia. I'm going to put Supernova on the back foot once more.
Right, and that was a super strong play there from the side of Galaxia. They use a bit more ults there, but they still are even popping the mines here.
Yeah, popping the mines, finding the Baptiste caught up, and I'm talking of which this rest of Supernova falling down. Parabel coming up with 3 kills that fight. Creep just cleaning up the rest. Right now, Galaxia 80 meters and counting. Only 40 for Supernova.
Right now, they do have the ult advantage here, right? They've got the Flux, they've got the High Noon. There might be something you can do with that, but we've got to be a little bit careful. We can't be wasting these too early.
Yeah, here comes the Visor. You know, like I was saying, this off-angle heavy composition, that's what they want. With the focus going on to this Visor, Elite Zero finding Zay, not having a great match. The Flux out only catches 1 and is sustained heavily by the support line of Galaxia here. Ran down Frostburn was the ball and the Xion of them hunting them down. Looking for more kills, gonna pressure out the Baptiste. Immortality field already forced, that's a major cooldown. Burt for just a slam. Hands coming out on the side of Supernova Sigma. Both teams coming back. The respawns in favor of Supernova. Says they're so close. However, with that 100-meter lead, they gotta make a play here now. Nano onto the Wu Yang, so let's see how this Empowered Water does. Right now, finding nothing, not finding too much. Elite Zero finding Frostburn once again. Immortality field force. The Cassidy, dangerous. Shadows does get some use out of it. Does find it. Creeps eventually catching out the Baptiste, and there is no longer a support line for Supernova. They're going to throw themselves back into spawn, hoping to get a one touch, but losing your Sigma there. Quite tragic. Right now, Supernova on death's doors. They need some playmakers to come out. Window is out. Elite Zero finding Frostburn once again. Mines comes out, kills Cassidy here. Zay onto the Brigida, trying to do anything, trying to stall this bleed. Diva going on to the point. This is going to be just a bit longer. Allow one more wave of respawners to come out. However, with the Diva down, Water Lily does find a Shadow. However, health bars looking a bit low on the side of Galaxia here. Frostburn taking advantage. However, Creep finds Skull Sniper on the Tracer here. Elite Zero finding Frostburn. Like I said, once again, these respawn waves are going to be in favor of Supernova and continue this match. Venture Water Lily finding out. And looks like we might just have a regroup from Galaxia, realizing it's no longer winnable here.
Right, they did a really solid job there, just stalling, playing to just run in over and over again.
Yeah, but stalling's not going to help you there. Getting these kills will. Skull Splitter finding the Ana on the side of Galaxia. Gonna come big here. Gonna allow their team to get some breathing room from their spawn. However, a long road to march before they can even declare themselves back in this. Frostburn finding Creep, so that's the pick you want to see here. This comp right now doing wonders for Supernova as they're going to finally start getting some progress.
Right, 100%, and we're starting to see the ult economy come alive a little bit too, right? The Diva Bomb, Divas are able to play a lot more aggressive when they have it. We see the Pulse coming online in just a second. We see the Spree online.
Yeah, we see the Spree, and we also see Creep spinning to win, trying to stall out this. Needs some help, does not get it. Visor out, finds the Ana, finds the Mizuki here, so good for 2. Parabel, scratch that, good for 3. Only having to use the Visor there to win that team fight. Minute 25 left on the point. Skull Sniper's going to be the last to get taken out.
100%. We see them pushing back towards that midpoint. Still haven't gotten past the checkpoint for the side of Supernova. This is not what we want to see here. With only a minute remaining.
No, and right now Parallel trying to take that angle, however, it is wonderfully checked over here by the Diva. Now we have a fight going closer to the mid, away from the bot. Shadow eventually finding Frostburn here. Shion trying to get out. Great finding the Zay. An Elite Zero finally put down. Mines are out, and the Russian Current is. They're going to put it on to the Mizuki here. Great, good for 2. And the baby Diva does not get the mech on the side as Supernova. It's going to be Galaxia pushing up once again onto their point as Parabel finds an early pick onto Frostburn.
Right, that's a really big pick here. You need every single pick you can get pushing into this last little bit because the spawn is so close by.
Yeah, they're going to put the Nano onto Frostburn here, looking to get these kills. Going to pop that spree. Going deep, trying to find the Wu Yang. Beautifully kited out. Parabel eventually shutting the spree down. They're going to be down a player, and we're heading into overtime here on New Queen Street. This is do or die for Supernova, and Elite Zero is going to try to make it die here as they find a pick onto Zay. The Sanctuary popped by the Mizuki here. Diva out, not touching the bot. Baby's going to be the last one to do it, and it looks like that's all she wrote for Supernova as these final kills are going to start coming in. They haven't cleared Frostburn out quite yet. However, going to run them down with a nanoed tack visor. That's where this map ends. Galaxia up 3-0 now.
Right, this is a really bad spot to be in if you are Supernova, right? Because not only do you have to deal with this comp 4 times, but each time you win, they're just going to get the map pick, they're going to get the benefits, and it's just going to make it that much harder. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult challenge in order to get this, but it's not impossible. So we'll see what they can come up with after this break. We're off.
W.
No fue nada.
I've seen this day turn to blue eyes, want to fade away into the scars, all lights on my bones. I'm here to stay, and I wanna know what it's all about. Get to the part where there are no doubts. Get to the part where I feel complete. disappear, I'm standing strong. I'm breaking free. And I wanna know what it's all about. Get to the part where there are no doubts. Get to the part where I feel complete.
Yeah, I've had Cold Stone.
That shit is so good.
I think the shakes are lacking though.
You get a shake?
Yeah,
Are you a demon?
I'm going to an ice cream shop. I'm getting a shake.
No, you get ice cream. What's wrong with you?
It's probably-
Alright, lock in.
Yeah.
Alright. 3, 2, 1.
Hello once again, Annihilation Nation. Your catch us here. Match point going over to Rialto. Galaxia up 3-0 against their sister org, Supernova. And once again, I hand it to my wonderful co-host here. What are these bans telling you?
Right, so we start with the initial ban from Fable to Supernova, banning the ball from Creep. I think that makes a lot of sense. Ball pretty strong in this map, and they've been having trouble with it ever since the first point. They found the answer on the first map on Lijiang Tower, but that's just because there was a decent point to bunker into. But without that, there's not really much they've been finding. Creep being an absolute menace on the last round. And then we see the Mizuki ban from Galaxia, which again, I think makes a lot of sense.
We see the Widow shots coming out. Does find a little hit on to Truth here. I don't think we'll be sticking around onto it. Scratch that. We have Frogger, OW, in the lobby right now in the form of Shadow, trying to get the Widow kill. Does not successfully do that. But Pello, we were talking a lot about it last broadcast that we did. Winston Overwatch has made an appearance.
Winston Overwatch has in fact made an appearance. You know, I think Winston is a great pick here. The best pick here, even.
Some would say the great, as we see Winston Overwatch going back into spawn along with Frostburn, who makes the switch over back onto Xion.
Right, I think the Xion makes a lot of sense here. These high grounds going to be a little bit more challenging. Going to either have to go up the stairs or commit the bike. But that's not too bad because you kind of want to commit the bike oftentimes anyways.
Yeah, we also... Shadow and Elite Zero back onto their normal shenanigans here, trying to take these angles, making it difficult for the engage here of Supernova. Nade goes out, however, is blocked quite well by Creep with it. Creep also finding Skull Sniper here. Winston.
Right, Shadow looking for some sort of boop and not finding it.
Yeah, and Elite Zero coming up. Elite once more, getting two there. Shadow following suit, getting another pick here. Now, hello, I like Winston like everyone else likes Winston, alright? It's hard to hate him. Is this the pick you really want to go with?
Apparently not, as they swap over to the Hazard. Right, able to brawl a little bit better, and really able to eat that Zarya damage.
Yeah, but also has the chance to also really empower the Zarya here. Grab good for 3. The nade also finding good sustain here. They're looking for Skull Sniper here. Trying to find that burn. Does not get it. The nano going on to the Hazard. Will not find the kill. However, Truth finding a bit hard to survive along with Elite Zero getting antied here. Creep gonna push down that Hazard on the side of Supernova here. We need Skull Sniper, find a big pick with this OC. Probably not this fight, as a regroup comes in by Supernova.
Alright, we see Water Lily hiding in this back corner here on the high ground. Could definitely find something big here. But we see the swap over to Reinhardt. That means we're not going to have a hazard dive in to follow up on the Ana positioning. I don't know what the plan is for this Ana.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit difficult here, especially with a beat and override protocol coming out. Truth going to try to find that damage. Going to throw it onto the Reinhardt. But Pello, I'm going to be honest, I don't like this Reinhardt. Galaxia right now takes so many angles at all times. I just think Reinhardt's kind of a flat-footed character.
100%. We're not really finding anything here. We're just kind of playing down main. We're looking to maybe force Carp and get underneath here, but we're not finding it.
Spree does come out, however, it's not going to find anything. On the opposite side, Spree is also not going to find anything. Truth eventually does catching it. However, the Reinhardt does find the kill onto Shadow with Water Lily, finding the Kiriko on the opposite side. So right now, Galaxia without a support lineup, 17 seconds left on Rialto. This is Supernova's go card. This is where they can actually start making some space. However, with the Kyria Lucio, they're going to be back in just a second.
Right, and we see the swap from Frostburn over to Soldier. It may just be some sort of desperation play. Try to get some more aggressive flank angles going.
Skull Sniper needs to find some heads. Frostburn gonna open up this kill for Supernova. Skull Sniper eventually does find Lucio. However, Creep is also here. Zayd popping that Kitsune Rush, trying to get this here. Skull Sniper eventually clicks the head of Truth, and that could have opened up this map for them. As the touch do not come in, Supernova are gonna get first after a great defense by Galaxia.
Right, a really solid job. They burned all the time there, and they had to burn everything to get past that point. Now we have an unmatched Graviton Surge. We got the Kiri Rush.
Yeah, and I'm guessing Shadow just decided not to switch spawns. It does go down early, getting a bit adventurous with their Lucio play, let's just say that. Reinhardt on the opposite side has his Shatter, looking to use it on the stairwell. That would give them a lot of space. Talking about which, the cart has pushed up quite a fair bit off Supernova here. You see the Reinhardt swinging the hammer, trying to take that grab out. Looking to get anything, but the nade also survives here. Creep eventually does get Water Lily, however, 2 kills going on the side of Supernova. Could have pushed them up. Shatter, good for 2. Sees the Suzu, sees the go card, ready to go. Shadow gonna fall next, and looks like they're gonna move into third here. Supernova coming alive here in Rialto.
Right, this is a massive boon, right? They got that time tank now. A little bit more room to play with. Zenode never ending up popping that lane. Creep taking quite a bit to pop that Graviton Surge. Now we're just kind of in an awkward situation here.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes 30 left on this. Third point, notoriously hard to take. However, not going to be hard if your Reinhardt opens up the kill feed with Shadow once again. And the backline, actually. Talk about dive. Reinhardt finds the 3 here. It is just Creep left, does find 2, but that's not good enough. Supernova is going to start making some great progress off these picks.
Right, we were talking about the Reinhardt pick. Initially, we were a bit hesitant, but he's been proving us wrong indubitably.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot of value here, just taking that space so aggressively.
And you see the regroup coming in. Frostburn, however, finding Elite Zero here. That's going to be flipping the script. That's been all us here. Skull Sniper finding Shadows. The override protocol. Good for Truth. Trying to find anything. However, the Reinhardt just swings their hammer. Rialto is going to be Supernovas as they get point 3.
I mean, what a performance there from Supernova. It looked like it was so doomed from the beginning. They barely made it past that first corner, but as soon as they did, they made it all the way to the end. So really nice recovery there from Supernova. Every ult had value. Everything was used with purpose, and Ryan was putting in work.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as they got their foot on that gas, they continued to push. I don't think they lost a team fight at all after they captured first point. So quite a convincing attack once they got over that hurdle.
100%, right? They lost quite a few fights on first, but they never lost anything on second. They never lost anything on third. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And with quite an interesting comp, might I add, with the Kiriana and Sojourn Soldier for DPS. Right, the double hit scan is usually not something you want to see too much, not quite able to take as many angles, but they're making it work. And we have a DC from Skull Sniper, unfortunately, so we will be back in just a second when they get back in the lobby. Bro, what the fuck?
Are we off?
Shadow. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Shadow just running that shit down.
Bro, what the fuck is he doing? I think he's just like, oh, this is free. This is free. And then he started being stupid.
Yeah,
Like, stop being stupid.
Just
We'll
end
be
it,
fine, dude.
please. Just put him down. You don't have to do this.
What's crazy is they still almost did it.
Yeah. Dude, come on. Now we go into a tech break, because of course.
Alright, we're back.
Hey,
I'm gonna bring you back in 3, 2, 1.
welcome back, Annihilation Nation. We're back. Technical issues fixed, and we're looking at Rialto as Galaxia gonna be taking this their first jab at their attack.
Right. Galaxia having a really strong first point, but not quite finding anything after that.
Yeah, you saw the idea there. Truth, Shadow going for long flanks. You know, these two known to go on these flanks, take these angles. However, Shadow going down. That's gonna be their 8th death of this lobby, highest in the lobby. Just gonna put that out there. Back up to the Soldier. However, cart progress was made by Galaxia here. Creep now having to do the eternal duel of a Sigma versus a Reinhardt here. Right now, the two... Shadow does get Skull Sniper here. However, the Kiriko traded out on the side. Frostburn picking up a wonderful kill there. Zay also picking up Elite 0. However, this duo of Truth and Shadow coming up alive. Finding another pick here. So right now, this flank, good. Trying to keep the Kiriko alive. Shadow goes down. So it is just a Soldier 76 versus a Reinhardt. Respawners coming back over here from Supernova. Reinhardt eventually does go down. So the respawners are back for Supernova. Galaxia trying to find these picks. Does. Elite 0 good for it. Truth has this tack visor. I don't think there's going to be too much of a fight here for... Scratch that, the Reinhardt is back. Truth, gonna pop this tack visor, has free access to this backline. Cart pushed, Reinhardt was sitting right there, did not get the sustain it needed to really carry through Galaxia on their march to second as Truth picks up another 2 kills.
Right, a really solid job there for Truth. Even not getting the kills, the backline had to hide, and they couldn't support the Reinhardt, and that caused them to get the point there. So really solid job.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Creep here trying to take this high ground, but with these respawners coming out, beautiful rock onto it allows them to keep this high ground. But you see the Reinhardt on Supernova. They want to take this space. They can easily take this space now that rock is out. It's going to be a duel for this. Flux by Creep is in hand. Only one on the board for Galaxia right here with ultimates. And a lot of ults on the side of Supernova here. Here comes the Kitsune Rush. They're going to try to swing onto it. Rock stops the Reinhardt. Here comes the Flux. Shatter gets Shadow here. Truth almost caught up on that, but does find the Reinhardt, who did take the Lucio out, but is taking out in return. Creep getting surrounded, finds one, but not before getting taken down themselves here. Supernova putting up that defensive wall.
Right, we see what we saw before, a very solid first point from the side of Galaxia, but not really getting as much ground on second or third. They're doing a lot better on their attack here on second than they did on their defense. But we need to start using these ultimates, right? We got both support ults, we got the spree, we need to find something here.
Yeah, but on the opposite end, you see that cheeky little jump that Truth is doing with the rocket boosters and with Shadow. Shadow unfortunately going down once again here, but that you see the angles they want to take. The spree is out. Truth still alive, finding one. It's gonna be a visor versus just a regular thing, and it looks like Truth is gonna get the betterment of Frostburn here. Pin going on to the Kiriko. So once again, Supernova sustaining and keeping alive in this fight.
I think it's kind of interesting that we're choosing to run this Sigma into the Reinhardt. Granted, they are running the double hit scan, so that level of control over the poke phase is going to make it a little bit worth it. But it's still just a bit awkward to try and play that matchup.
Yeah, you see Supernova, however, checking this angle that, you know, we've seen Truth take so many times. Doesn't. We're going to put some point progress and try to take a little different angle. You know, worked once, but not too well. All's good. Elite Zero finding it. Late beat, good for 4 here. You're already up 2. You wonder what that was really used for. Nade does go on to Elite Zero with the Reinhardt finding the kill here. However, the cart kind of running away from them. It's going to be the Lucio to touch here. Eventually does find out, so Galaxia going to get these sweep. Gonna pop a Flux even though you're up 2. And Truth eventually does clean out.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of an awkward situation now because we don't have anything to do with Shatter and OC. This is going to be a really huge ult from both of these players likely, unless we get some sort of shield block from the Sigma.
Yeah, I was about to say that this is going to be all eyes on Creep. How do you do with this shield? How do you do getting these resources up? Or maybe it's even up to Truth, you know, finding these picks that we know they've been good for. Shatter out. Don't think it got too much, but did eventually get the Kiriko with the Fire Strike. Skull Sniper is not going to pop this OC this fight. However, a sniper of a Fire Strike takes out Truth here. Creep on the back foot. This Reinhardt maybe causing some headaches over here by Galaxia.
100%. They're putting in a lot of work here. Just nowhere really for the side of Galaxia to stand.
Speaking of which, Supernova up with 4 ultimates. Only 2 on the board for Galaxia, and it's going to be a attack visor and a Kitsune Rush. Going to be popped both times. Looking for the kills. They do get one with Elite Zero picking up another. Creep eventually getting the better of the Reinhardt. Is going down. Skull Sniper trying to stay alive. 1 HP and a Dream. Truth eventually cleans up that mess. And you see 3 on cart as Galaxia looks to here comes a beat on the opposite side. Good for 2. Visor is good as well. Truth going down. Frostburn out. Frostburn with 2. The Kiriko eventually does shut down Frostburn. Creep finding the Lucio here on the side of Supernova. Still doable. It is the Kiriko, however, going to have to take up most of this healing for it. And an Ana on the opposite side over here by Supernova. Nano on to the Reinhardt. Eventually does get Elite Zero with it. Respawners back for Supernova. This defense looks like it might just be able to hold here by Galaxia. By Supernova. Shatter coming up online.
100%. We see the bubble from Shadow, able to get somebody here. This may be the chance to win over the Reinhardt in the brawl as Creep. Maybe exactly what you're trying to find here.
Yeah, it looks like the bubble is going to go on to the Lucio. Skull Sniper finds Truth. Shadow eventually trading out the same person here. Wu Yang forcing back Frostburn. Shatter good on to Creep here. Payload almost got away for them at 6 0.67 meters. Everyone will make a lull here as the kills coming in. Galaxia looking like they're on their death throes here on Rialto, as Supernova are gonna take a map.
Right, a solid response, able to survive this. Just not quite finding the answer to this Reinhardt, going absolutely insane. Definitely carrying this game here.
Yeah, definitely finding their style here, Supernova, with this Reinhardt you know, throwing a lot of resources. We're looking at the play of the game right now. Really shouldn't be able to get away with that even on a Reinhardt, but does. So wonderful play over here by Supernova.
Right, 100%. Very solid job. And that's going to be a solid response. But again, they're going to have to go to the map pick of Galaxia now. So we're going to have to deal with the adaptation there. So let's see what we can figure out right after this break. Bro.
In the endless sky, stormy winds are blowing by, waves are dancing, evening comes, it's time to sound the drums. But steady men and never fear, tomorrow's skies are always clear, so pound your feet and clap your hands till sunny days return. Yo ho ho ho, 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 yo ho ho ho. Yo ho ho, yo ho ho. Gather up all of the crew, it's time to ship out Binks's brew. Wave goodbye, but don't you cry, our memories remain. Our days are but a passing dream, everlasting though they seem. Neath the moon we'll meet again, the winds are lullaby.
Gonna bring you in 3, 2, 1.
Alrighty, folks, we have a series on our hands. Galaxia still on match point, up 3-1 against Supernova. But Supernova stopping a sweep from happening here. Gonna take Rialto. Now, Pello, we have some interesting bans, so why don't you go over them?
Right, 100%. So we see the Reinhardt ban from Galaxia when they bring us to Atlas. Definitely traumatized from Babietu, who was an absolute demon last map, just going wherever he wanted. And we see the Xion ban from the side of Supernova. I think that also makes a lot of sense. Elite Zero has been putting in some work pretty consistently. We see the Zarya Reaper comp with a Genji as well. No hit scan for the side of Galaxia.
No, but Galaxia are playing to what they know best, and that is taking these off angles. You see the Genji already basically in the back line. However, stop comes through. A lot of health bars on the side of Galaxia going down, and that's a burn over by into Creep into Truth. So you're down to the Zarya Reaper. Kiriko following quite soon, so Supernova maybe feeling some wind in their sail here.
Right, 100%. I would if I were them. Art comp on Supernova probably just a little bit better, right? The Liu Yang gonna be very uncomfortable into this Maga Reaper.
Yeah, absolutely. And without that frontline pressure, you're really looking for the backline of Supernova here. You're looking for that engage. Here comes the stop over by the Mauga. Skull Sniper finding the Kiriko, and a beautiful Suzu keeping the Mauga alive, going deep and almost dying here. Zay, however, goes down. Elite Zero finding Frostburn here. That Genji maybe starting to perk some pressure here. Truth getting a wonderful shot onto Sniper. So right now, Supernova on the retreat here as Galaxia are going to start taking the first bit of progress here on Atlas.
Right, that was a really great response there. Notably, Truth getting a very early pick onto Zay. Really opening up the fight, taking away that speed, taking away that aura healing, going to be a huge factor, and it's also going to put him a bit behind that ult charge.
Yeah, ult really high in ult charge actually. Him and Creep going to probably be the first ones to get these ults on the board for Galaxia. On the other side, Waller really does have that Kitsune Rush ready. However, don't think they're going to pop it as Skull Sniper did go down in this fight here. And actually, the bleeding is not stopped yet. Zay and Frostburn also finding their way back to spawn. So a full regroup here by Supernova, losing the lead. Right now it's 70-63 in favor of Galaxia.
Right, big thing with this composition difference, you cannot afford to play poke on any sort of Bowser comp, but especially into this Sigma comp here.
Yeah, and the stop is good. However, the Blossom is better. Getting two with the Kitsune Rushes popped on both sides. Last touch is going to be the Lucio of Zay for Supernova, but Galaxia going to be able to take the first point here on Atlas.
Right, like I was saying, just so much poke coming out here, and you already don't want to be engaging without armor if you're Mauga. So it's really important to play these fights super quick and get in as soon as you see them, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you need to do. You know, your Lucio speed. Cage good for two, however. Gonna pop the bubble here. Truth eventually goes down, but it was on the Creep here. Flux hits the Lucio here. The blade is out by Elite Zero. Finding no value so far. Death Blossom does come out here by Frostburn. So a scrappy fight. Supernova, however, wins.
Right, like I was saying, they took that fight super quick, immediately popping the Mauga cage. And while there was a decent response, they just didn't quite find what they needed to with those plays. And that's going to lead to an opening kill, or opening pick, and an opening fight from the side of Supernova. So really solid job there.
Yeah, talking about this one, Supernova has the beat, has the OC. Frostburn getting the better of the Reaper duel on to Truth here. Beat good for all 5 members of Supernova. Skull Sniper keeping the Genji in check. A lot of pressure goes down. Eventually does get pressure found out by Elite Zero, but not before the rest of Galaxia fall. Talking of which, they pushed up, lost another member here. Gonna fall back. Point touch is going to come in here. It's just going to be depending on who. You got both the Reaper and the Genji going to be stepping up. Genji dashes for that point cover. Overtime is here. 99% for Supernova, 0 for Galaxia. Let's see how they operate here. Creep already going down super low. Suzu forced here. Stop good onto it. However, Creep already getting Frostburn here. Skull Sniper needs to find some kills with this OC. And with Alpha, Zay here does find Shadows here. The City Rush was popped mid-fight by Water Lily. Looking for the cleanup. 3 members of Galaxia here. Elite Zero finding the Mauga here of Supernova. However, stepped off the point they did. Supernova is going to take the second point.
Right, really unfortunate step off there. I think they may have just thought they were still in control, but that's going to cause that point to go over.
Yeah, we got 1-1 on this map, 3-1 in the series. Ults right now on the board. Creep with the Flux, Truth, Death Blossom. Elite Zero Shadow can probably build these mid-fight here. Only thing on the side is the Death Blossom in Cage. As we get into it, Stop goes onto the Sigma. Constant target for them, and that's actually one of the best targets to stop on. Flux out. And shut down by a combination Cage, Death Blossom. However, the Blade and the Reaper also popped out. Both good for 1. So right now, it's a 3v3. Right now, Frostburn eventually does get Shadow, and as well the Kiriko cleanup kills going on to Elite Zero, and that's going to allow Supernova to once again be the first ones on this point.
Right, really solid job there. Not using too much from the side of Supernova and getting so much value out of forcing ults from Galaxia to keep trying to turn these fights with these ults, and they're just saving the CPs for it, and they're not able to find anything. So really solid play there so far.
Yeah, right now, what you're looking for here at Galaxia is finding these kills before anything can pop up. You have a small window here to get into this point and to win this. The Kitsune Rush by Water Lily already out. Looking for kills onto the Mauga. Rushing turret out. Good for 5. Does keep the Supernova alive. 66% and counting here as the Wu Yang found out by the Mauga. Stop. Good on to 2 here. However, the rock is good. A Kitsune Rush is out somewhere. A very short one, I might add. Picks right now in favor. Actually, this 1v1 could decide this point, and it looks like Frostburn coming up alive. Supernova take that point. Kiriko on the side of Galaxia was almost about to win that for them.
Right, that would have been a huge pick if they got it, but unfortunately just not quite finding it, and that's going to be a really late kill onto Shadow.
Yeah, late kill onto Shadow. That's going to allow Supernova to start taking this position. Set up for, once again, the first point capture. They do have these ultimates in hand. Both DPS up, Cage up. They're probably looking for a Cage Death Blossom here. It did come out, but it was immediately rocked by Creep here. That is wonderful, keeping their team quite in this. Death Blossom popped. However, the TP is out for the Kiriko here. Galaxia down 2 players. This is a dogfight right now. Water Lily eventually getting Creep here. Look like they're going to duel Truth, however, does get out. Shadow still fighting with the rest of it. It's a Lucio versus a Wu Yang. Place your bets now. Who's going to win that? It is the Lucio here. Blade out. Trying to find anything Elite Zero. However, Truth is just cleaning up any kills that this Blade might have gotten here. Eventually picks up a 3rd. So a point flip back into Galaxia, but not before Supernova gets 36%.
Right, really solid job there from the side of Galaxia, right? The notable change, they are saving that Sigma sub for the E from the Mauga, really focusing on burning him down, just taking that health pool away.
Yeah, absolutely, and we see this engage coming up. The Mauga's already behind this. Stop goes onto the Reaper, does not get it here. Death Blossom here does get the Kiriko who TP'd on it, but is immediately traded out. Flux out. Sniper also throwing the OC. Good for it. Both teams Galaxia down 2. But Supernova down the rest of them as some picks come in. 69% for Galaxia. Looks like they're going to hold this point strong. Might get one more fight over here by Supernova. It's going to be a hard one, though, as both support alts coming based online for both teams here. Cage also could get built mid-fight right now. 60% and counting. Skull Sniper rocked. Pressure going down. Does not find the kill. Zay dies before they can build the beat here. However, Skull Sniper killing a lot here. Skull Sniper coming up live here. Elite Zero got that Russian current and immediately shut down. So Supernova start picking up this point once again.
Right, this is worst case scenario for this map here. You're coming up on nothing really, and you have 3 ults on the side of Supernova. You have no choice here but to try and get something out of them. We see the swap from Truth over to Cassidy. We'll be looking to find some early picks.
Yeah, early picks. You do have this Cage. It was rocked last time, so let's see if we can get some value out of it. The eyes are going to be on that duel right now. Frostburn also has the Death Blossom. Truth moved over to the Cassidy. Elite Zero finding Frostburn here. Beat good for 3 here. Cage also good. Eventually is canceled. Trying to get some value out of it. Mauga down. Supernova in the clutches of defeat here on this point here. Does get to 99. However, Galaxia going to find these last few kills. Truth coming alive with 2. It's 2-2. We're on match point here.
Right, that's a miracle fight win for Galaxia. They had no business winning that with 0 ults to 3 for the side of Supernova. And they just managed to barely scrape by. Now their ult economy is kind of in a great position, right? Coming up on that high noon. They have the blade. Coming up on that flux.
Yeah, absolutely great position here. But depending on how you use it, could be tragic. Here comes the high noon, trying to find anything. Stop does not connect. However, the damage was good enough. However, Supernova finding these picks eventually gets the stop. We've seen this story before. The Hero Blade comes out for Elite Zero, trying to find anything. That's why we call it a Hero Blade. It does fall flat. Shadow, however, does find a kill on the Skull Sniper here. Eventually traded out. Supernova again gets the first cap here.
Right, a little bit unfortunate, but I can see what Elite Zero is going for there. If they can just get a few picks, even if they die, Genji's going to be able to come back a lot faster than a lot of characters on the side of Supernova, so that's going to be a pretty big pick, but unfortunately just not able to find them.
Yeah, you see Frostburn right now holding down this angle, preventing this Wuya and Genji from really getting to where they want. This duo has been a nuisance for them. And you see, 15 HP for the Reaper. Gets eventually the carry they need, but talking about which the rest of their team needs carry. Gonna pop that Consumer just for that. Elite Zero going deep for that bubble here. Gets the Lucio here. Blossom good for 1. Finds Truth and is out. Needs some help, Frostburn does. Skull Sniper eventually finds Shadow, but not before Shadow finds Water Lily. Flux does not connect here. Frostburn finding the Kiriko. Skull Sniper, Elite Zero. It is just the Sigma here for Galaxia. Eventually, the Malga goes down. Sigma is next to follow. Who's going to be the touch here? It doesn't matter. Skull Sniper puts them down. Galaxia fall once more. Supernova. Stonks are rising.
Right, really close map there. Getting back to that final point. But just not quite able to get any sort of picks with the ults that they were using. Also just playing a little bit too close, not really forcing out the cooldowns on any sort of walk-up. Made things just a little bit uncomfortable for the side of Galaxia there. But we will see what they can take away from that going into this map 6 right after this short break. Ready? Gonna bring you in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, Annihilation Nation! We got a series on our hands, and we're heading into Antarctic Peninsula, so it's not gonna cool down. It's just gonna heat up here. Galaxia, still looking for that one map. 3-2 Supernova. Doing some work on their end. Picking up 2 maps here. Hello, we got bans. What are we looking at here?
Right, Galaxia bringing us to Antarctic Peninsula. The last 2 maps are going to be Control. Last map, if we get there, will be Samoa. Starting off with the Reaper ban from Galaxia makes a lot of sense. They are having issues with it. We see Supernova ban the Wuyan, so maybe just wanting Shadow on the Lucio when he was not performing as well. We see the Reinhardt composition that they were struggling with earlier on Rialto as well, so it's interesting to see what we're going to do with it.
You know, I'm a fan of Supernova's composition right now. If it works for you, and it's your style, go for it. And we've seen this be their style, you know. We've seen them highlight Real. Talking about which, a pin almost coming through that pincer that we've seen all game. Shadow and Elite Zero prevented from getting that angle. Zay, with the rest of the help of their team, picking up Creep. Truth also following suit. So Supernova are going to be the first ones on this point.
Right, we're trying to find these angles here, but we're not really getting any sort of value. We're getting checked too soon. Not really having any Zarya ult charge to put a threat up from the main front line. We see the swap over to Bastion from Truth. We saw this in Lee Jane Tower as well, which Galaxia did win, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely, they did win this. I'm guessing this is going to be a lot of front pressure onto that Reinhardt shield. Trying to burn that down, and without that Reinhardt, you know, of course, very exposed here. Creep finding the Xion and finding their way into the back line of Supernova. Sin eventually getting Shadow, however, traded immediately out for Truth here. It looks like Supernova going to be put on a back foot as Galaxia are going to make this point flip over.
Yeah, I really like this angle here from Elite Zero, getting a lot of good poke, especially on the Water Lily, almost getting the pick.
Absolutely.
But still just forcing them back here, and now they're going to have to look for another angle of approach.
Look for another angle of approach with Bastion getting this artillery form. This soft angle taken over by Frostburn and Zay. Both Kitsune rushes out. Truth eventually finding Zay. Reinhardt going down. Galaxia looks like they're going to take this Kitsune duel quite easily.
Right, that's a really good fight to win, right? Because instead of having that beat that you can use for aggression, you have the Mizuki, which is not going to be as good for this composition. You want to use that Mizuki to try and counter the rush, but it's just not going to be as good into a Zarya.
Yeah, right now ult's coming up here. You know, the beat a bit slower on the build up here, but also the Mizuki on the opposite side, not quite there. Shatter, good on to 2. Frostburn taking Shadow down. Frostburn actually taking the elite, both the duo out, that we've seen a lot of this series. Trying to look onto the kill onto the Zarya here, does not get it. Sin, however, goes, the spree is out, Creep goes down, but Truth manages to recover.
Right, we see a lot of ults for the side of Galaxia. Definitely going to use these to push in, maybe build some Zarya ult charge, go in with a beat.
Truth be told, Pello, I would be looking right now for a decent sized grab and then artillery form. Artillery form by itself, kind of hard to really get the value out here. Plus, winning with a grab, having all everyone stay quite still, great for it. However, you also have this ramp. You also have this spree coming out before anything else has. Beat not going to be popped. The Shadow does go down. Truth finding it. Here comes the grab here. The damage, however, already too intense for it. Galaxia is going to take this point, flip out 76% to 86% right now. Galaxia looking to take that lead.
Right, really solid job there. Notably, having the Mizuki ult gonna be possibly good for shutting out this Bastion. It would have been strong against. Yeah, we see it popped right there.
Yeah, allowing Supernova onto point. We're having a Kitsune rule. Once again, High Noon a bit far back, looking at that flanking angle of the Xion Lucio. However, the damage is still quite intense with this Kitsune rush here. And it looks like Sim getting put down. Beat good for 4 on the side of Galaxia. And it looks like Supernova getting ran over as Galaxia are gonna take this first point. 100 to 86.
Right, I really like this response here from Galaxia. They said, okay, you know what? It's a flat map. We're just going to pick the flattest map we can, and we're just going to run our Zarya comp. And we're going to run Bastion, and we're not going to need to worry about high grounds or anything like that. We're just going to walk at them and make them explode. And I love that for them. We see a couple concepts from the side of Supernova going over to the Malga Ash. Definitely a little bit more pokey. We see the Tracer swap. I think that makes a lot more sense. Able to take a lot more angles there and really just collapse quickly onto the side of Galaxia.
You're absolutely right about this. This composition, looking for those openings here. Malga also could stop here. And it's going to be a bit more difficult here for Creep to play this Zarya, especially with these angles taken up. You already see the Tracer and the Xion of the side of Supernova starting to develop these soft angles, but you can't say Elite Zero not going to do the same with Shadow. These two have been on the side of each other's hip the entire game. However, health bars right now looking quite scary for Supernova as the Bastion swing good, burns down the Malga of Supernova, and eventually Truth finding another one on to Zay here. Elite Zero looking for... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, really solid job there from the side of Galaxia, just waiting for that Malga Stomp and then popping the turret. Really good stuff there from Truth, really able to just burn that down. We see the swap over to Ramatra, just trying to find some sort of answer here.
Yeah, they need an answer right now. They lose this map, they lose the series, and they put up a good fight so far. Ramatra gonna throw the shield out. Here comes the turret from first by Galaxia, and the artillery form, an ambitious one, does find Water Lily, eventually traded out, however. I would take a DPS trade over a support trade any day of the week here. Creep needing some help right now. Point presence allowed for Supernova. Rush coming in deep. Creep eventually finding the Bastion here on side of Supernova. Elite finding the Frostburn, and Shadow trading out this Ramatra. It's looking quite dire for Supernova here.
Right, it's a little bit dire, but not everything's lost. We're coming up on that spree. We have the rush. They just committed there, so there's not going to be a match, but they can beat. So if I'm the side of Supernova here, I'm looking for something to try and bait out this form exactly like we want to see here. Not really finding any value from it, and then we can go in with Rush.
Yeah, the longer this fight goes on, however, the Lucio on the opposite side of Supernova can get it. However, Elite Zero shut down this before the streak can really get going, and the opposite side is true. Looks like Galaxia coming up big with 3 kills here. It's just the Bastion. Pops the artillery form, trying to find a kill. Water Lily eventually finds a 1, 97% on it, and it looks like Galaxia are gonna take this series 4-2.
Right, it was a good response for a couple of maps, but just not quite able to find the solution for this Zarya Bastion here. And that's going to be the series, and that's going to be the semifinals for Galaxia. Really solid play there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Supernova looked shaky. At a certain point, I was thinking this was going to be a 4-0, but they come up with their compositions. They come up with the right answers, eventually pushing this all the way to a map 6. You know, Supernova, the season might be over for you, but hold your head up high. That was a great showing.
100%. For all of those who are tuning in, thank you all for being here. My name is Pillow. I've been joined by Alex, and we hope you have a wonderful night.
Bye-bye. You did it.